beautiful people. I'm Amy, or AWayfaringFrog, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. And happy Businesses and Hobbies release day. To be fair, I'm doing this voiceover after release day, but this is the first build that I have done with the new expansion pack. I think it's really fun, and I chose to build in this more traditional area of Nordhaven, which is the new world that comes with Businesses and Hobbies. There is also a more sort of industrial modern kind of area, but I really love the look of these kinds of townhouses, so I was really keen to have a go at building some of these. And I thought I'd develop my little series that I started before this pack came out, where I sort of pick an item in The Sims 4 that your Sims can make money with and try and create a house for a Sim themed around that. And honestly, this Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack just feels so perfect. So for this particular one, I thought a potter would be a good shout because it's one of the new skills that comes in the new pack alongside tattooing, and you can make money from it. And now you can also live on the same lot as having some kind of a business going on. So honestly, it just felt so perfect. And I felt like pottery would really suit this style of build because with all the glazing that you can do, you can put lots of different colours on your various pots. So having very colourful houses just somehow seemed really in keeping with that theme. So I was very excited to try this build style out. The build is coming together, as you can see. I opted to use this new stone texture on the bottom floor, and then I picked a couple of the colours that seemed to go well together that I liked, which was this green and then the more peachy toned wallpaper. I mostly picked the green because a lot of the doors and windows have this really deep green swatch, and I absolutely love it. And I just felt like using the more lime green wallpaper just fit in well in that sense because they're both green. And then the peach one just felt like a really nice contrast against that. I was tempted to do yellow for a bit, but I have built some townhouses recently that are pastel coloured, and I did do a yellow one there. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different as a result. I did do my best when editing this video as well, so just a quick disclaimer, but because this was the first time I got a hold of the pack and I was seeing all of the new items for the first time, I did end up getting distracted while doing the build, so I might be jumping around a little bit more than usual. I did try and cut it down so that it sort of flowed as well as it could. So hopefully you don't notice, but I just wanted to let you know if you're wondering why I'm like darting around doing different things rather than just focusing on the one room and finishing that before moving on. I mean, to be fair, I build like that a lot, to be honest. I'm very easily distracted, so that is often how I build. I'll see something in the catalogue and think, ooh, I want to use this, but it can't go in this room, so I'll go sort it out somewhere else. But anyway, I'm now just adding the little staircases into the front of each of the units. The tallest unit, the green one, is going to be the residential house, and then the peachy one is actually going to be the pottery studio. And the idea was they were originally two separate townhouses, but due to the fact that the potter who lives here wanted to create their own studio to help teach pottery, as well as just working on their own pots, they kind of sacrificed the second bedroom in the greenhouse. So technically you could have 2 bedrooms if you wanted. You could potentially even have 3 based on the floor plan that I end up doing. But I create that to be linked to the peach house instead. So there's kind of going to be an employees only area as well as an extra little section that cuts into the greenhouse that your Sims can access just to use the kiln if they're going there for recreational purposes. I've been watching quite a lot of gameplay videos and it really looks like a lot of fun with these new hobbies and just the versatility in being able to monetize pretty much any skill in the game. So I'm actually super excited to try out gameplay myself. Unfortunately, I'm super busy at the moment and I'm just so obsessed with building lately that I don't know when I'll get around to gameplay. But I was thinking of potentially starting a new Let's Play on the series, maybe a rags to riches kind of thing, where we build up from nothing and then try and get rich in The Sims 4 using some of the new features in the game as a result of this game expansion pack. So let me know what you think of that idea in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But for now, you can see the outside is coming together. I am distraught though that the fence with the little fairy lights on it, which I've put on the front of the residential house, the green one, that doesn't have a stair railing version. So I've used the one with the little light strip instead. It looks a little bit too different, but also it's similar enough. And I did cut this out of the speed build, but I went through several different fence pieces or stair railings from base game and from other packs, but none of them just seemed to be the right kind of thickness and style. So I did just opt for this other one from the new pack. I don't understand why they do this to us. I'm sure it must be some kind of an issue with only being allowed to have a certain number of items per pack, I guess. I don't know, there's probably restrictions like that. But I feel almost like the base game update that we got recently was kind of aiming towards giving us a few items that perhaps couldn't make it into this pack. Because that new kitchen set that we got feels like it works perfectly with this. It really does kind of feel like it ties in very well. It's got a lot of the same kind of colors that you can see in the assets within this pack. So I'm just kind of wondering, can you just give us the stair railing in base game then, if you can't put it in the pack, please? I could be completely wrong. I probably am completely wrong, but I really want that stair railing. It hurts, but hey, I've done my best with what I had instead. We are now landscaping a little bit though, and I wanted to make this very structured because of the lot being on a pavement, sort of surrounded by roads. There is actually a little train track off to the back of the lot as well, which is fun because while you're in live mode, occasionally you'll see a train driving past. I thought that was a fun feature. Just adds a little bit more realism to the gameplay. We don't have cars, but you can pretend that you can get on the train at least. And I think one of the train stations in the world is actually functional to the extent that you can click on it and get your sim to travel somewhere instead of just pressing M or going to the map view. So that, whilst is a small little feature, I think that's quite a welcome feature. I do like that they've integrated something that should be usable in the game in that kind of way. Also, please ignore the fact that I've put the stairs probably the wrong way around. I didn't really understand the left and right stair railing, so I just put it how I thought it should look. And in retrospect, I feel like that darker section that runs down the side was meant to be a support beam of some kind, and that's the bit I hid inside the wall. So it's probably not very realistic or very safe to have this staircase because there isn't a lot of structure to it. But let me know in the comments if you know which way around those stairs are. I just feel like I've seen a lot of simmers put them the other way around, but I wasn't really thinking when I did it, and I don't know if it's meant to be that way around. I'm a bit confused why we have it the way we do. So yeah, let me know what you think. Is it meant to just go against a window better because it doesn't have such a thick section on the side that should go against the wall, which is the side that I've got into the room? I have no idea. So I did my best with what I thought would work. Anyway, we are now decorating the pottery studio, and I actually had a go at decorating this quite a lot before I then moved on to this stage where I'm now just expanding the size of it. I realized that it was just not big enough, and I really didn't want to cut in too much to the residential house. So I decided that just making it one square or one tile larger either side still looked really good from the outside, and it gave me a lot more space inside to be able to put all of the things that you need for your sims to be able to run a small business here. So on the ground floor, I made sure to include all of the different items that you need to be able to sell your pottery. So there's a few which hang on the walls. So I've got this big kind of wooden screen, which is where you can hang those, and that's one of the selling items that you have to put stuff on to sell, if that makes sense. It's not like Get to Work, if you've got that expansion pack, where you can select any item in the building to sell. You have to put them on the specific pedestals or big display cases, which is a little bit unfortunate that it's restricted in that sense. I think the display cases from Get to Work are potentially, they've been updated to allow the same kind of functionality. I'm not certain though. I think I heard someone say that while I was watching a speed build, but I can't remember. So don't quote me on that, but hopefully that is a thing because then that gives us a bit more versatility. Though that being said, I do really love these items. You can see I went for a very matchy wood tone throughout, but I really liked that. I thought it was just a bit of fun, and it just helped the pottery pieces shine, I suppose, because they weren't overshadowed by lots of colourful decor. It was just all the same, and then it was the pots that brought in more of the colour and variation throughout the room. And then upstairs, you can see this is where we're having that little classroom area. It's quite small, there's just 4 spaces for Sims to be able to have a go at some pottery here. And then where I've got the kiln is where I end up putting a little archway into the main part of the house. So a bit later we'll move that around a little bit, and that's where we'll kind of have the storyline of them cutting into that second bedroom in the main bigger townhouse in order to be able to expand their little business. Also, this weird grey line that you might be able to see on the screen in some sections, it was driving me insane while I was building. It disappears in live mode. It's just to help mark out the area that you can fill items with in order to be able to run the classes on that big whiteboard. So you need that item to be able to run any kind of class or mentoring in this expansion pack. And that grey line is just to say, oh, if you want to put anything usable for your classes, put it in this space kind of thing. I guess it's a bit like if you've seen the aisles from Wedding Stories, they have an invisible version which has little grid lines in build mode, but then it's completely invisible in live mode, but you can still click on it and interact with it. So that's kind of what that is. But for some reason, I just completely forgot that was there and was just wondering why there was this weird floating grey line in my build for a bit. I was just worried it was another Sims glitch, which, in my defense, there's quite a few, so I wasn't wrong to assume that might be what it is. But anyway, we're now adding in some of the pottery items. I just grabbed these from Debug. These are the ones that your Sims can create using that new pottery table. I really love the little tea sets. I think it's so fun that we've got functional items, and these planter pots are so nice. I feel like I'm going to be using those in pretty much every build from now on. They're just so much prettier than the standard planter pots that we've got. They're also a tiny bit smaller, I think, so they'll kind of pair nicely with the base game ones, I suppose, if you want a little bit of variation in your different planter pots in your Sims builds. I might be wrong as well, but I think there's a couple of other items that your Sims can make, which I didn't include in the store here. I was just using the debug and show live edit objects cheats to be able to access everything. But I think there's a much more basic pot that your Sims can make. It's the one that they have at level 1 of the skill, but I didn't see that in the catalogue, so I didn't put it out anywhere. So I don't know if when they get to a higher skill, maybe they can't create it. I'm not sure, because I feel like that item should exist in debug somewhere, but I was just clearly missing it or not seeing it or something. So I didn't put that one out, but I did put plenty of other things. And of course, if you did want to download this and actually use it as the lot that you want your Sim to live on and create pottery, you could probably just go through and delete all of these items if you wanted to craft them yourself, or you can just continue restocking them if and when they sell out if you wanted to play in this. And that reminds me, this build is on the Sims 4 gallery just under my EAID, AWayfaringFrog. So if you did want to download it and play in this build, be sure to grab it from there. And if you do find yourself playing in it, be sure to let me know on my socials. I've got them linked in the description down below, and they'll also feature at the end of the video on my end card. I'd love to see what you do with the build and with your Sims. I really love hearing other people's stories and what they get up to in their own gameplay. So do reach out. I'd love to hear from you. But at this stage, I'm just kind of working on the floor plan of the main house. I end up doing all of the living space downstairs, and then upstairs in the middle floor, as I mentioned, is kind of mostly public or employee only space. And then there's also the access to the other set of stairs, which is completely private. I made it so that wasn't set to public. And then on the top floor will be the master and only bedroom. Considering the fact that there's only one bedroom as well, there is an unreal number of bathrooms in this house. But again, as I mentioned, I felt like the floor plan could allow to have at least 2, if not 3 bedrooms. But because I was very focused on making this a pottery place, I ended up not making the other rooms into bedrooms. So there ends up being a toilet in the shop area on the ground floor, a small toilet on the ground floor in the house. There's a full bathroom with a bath and toilet in the middle floor of the house, and then there's an ensuite with a shower upstairs. That's a lot of bathrooms, but it just felt kind of realistic for how big it was that there would be that many bathrooms, considering there should be more bedrooms. So, I don't know, it might be a bit weird, but I also didn't want, if your Sims had guests over to stay, if you had, say, growing together, I didn't want them to have to use your ensuite to be able to have a shower. So I wanted to make sure there was a bathroom accessible outside of the master bedroom. So that's what I did. And then just for ease of gameplay and your Sims routing around in the world, I wanted to have a toilet downstairs as well so that they didn't have to keep going up and down the stairs constantly just to fulfill their needs and things. But we are now decorating that bathroom on the middle floor of the townhouse, and I ended up going for this new tiling from the new pack, which is the flooring, and then the wallpaper is from the newish base game update at this point. But I really love this tile. I think it's so nice, and I just use the Home Chef Hustle one obsessively. But I feel like now this one is going to feature a lot more in my builds, which is great. It does remind me a little bit of the chevron wallpaper that you can get in Growing Together. I do really like that one too, but I think it's a bit more stylized, so it's harder to use amongst other tiling. Like the flooring from Businesses and Hobbies that I've used here is quite, not chaotic, but there's a lot more going on with it, so I didn't want to use such an intricately designed wallpaper as well. So I just felt like the subway tile brick matched a lot better than using those kind of chevron shaped ones from Growing Together. And now I have moved all of the pottery stuff into the main part of the house. So as you can see, you can walk through that archway into the other public space, which is where I've put the kiln. And then the section going on from that, which is through another archway, you can actually set that to be employees only, and Sims can't walk through there unless they're an employee, despite the fact that it's just an open archway, which is really nice. I thought that was such a good feature. I haven't tested it myself, to be honest, but I saw that on someone's gameplay. I think it was James Turner's. So hopefully that is genuinely a thing and I haven't just made that up. But it does mean that you're not limited to having to use doors in order to lock them and things. And I just really love this feature as a result of that, because it makes everything so much more versatile. I don't think this would help with horses, for example, but I always just get sick of whenever I try and play with horses. I need to try and contain them so that they don't run off and then I don't know where they are and then they start crying about not having enough fun need or something. But I'm thinking, well, where are you? Why have you run off somewhere? So I always try and keep them contained so that I can look after them. It's for their own good, but it's a bit annoying if your lot's a little bit small and you can't get a fence all the way around it. So maybe they'll do something like that for horses one day. That would be great, because I'd really like them to not run away and just go and do their own thing when they also want taken care of. So at least we have a bit of a fix in that regard for Sims, where they can't just wander off into random parts of your house. Fingers crossed there aren't horrible glitches associated with that though, because I don't quite trust it. But anyway, we're now just decorating the hallway as we finished the pottery areas. I did cut quite a bit of this out, partly because it took me ages to decorate it because it's such a weirdly shaped room. I wasn't sure what to do. I did end up using the railing from Horse Ranch as well though. It just felt more suitable for inside a residential home than the ones that came from this pack. So I went ahead and added those, and I added a bit more of the black accent, which is prominent throughout different parts of the build too. And then my favourite kit, or my new favourite kit, the Comfy Gamer kit, makes an appearance again. I used the little Kallax shelf in order to just add a bit of clutter and just make it look more lived in and like there's storage in the house. I like adding realistic touches like that. Same for having wardrobes and things in your Sims houses. Despite the fact that they don't need them to be able to get changed and things, you can just click on the Sim directly, or you can even click on a mirror and get them to change their clothes. But from a realism point of view, I just feel like they need a wardrobe, because where are they going to put their clothes otherwise? I know they just create them out of thin air, but I'd much prefer it to have the items that make sense in the build. So that was the thought process behind including all of that storage that I put into that corridor. Plus it was really the only thing that fit and made sense in the end. But we are now on the bottom floor and we're decorating the kitchen living space. And I went really hard for the green colour scheme here. It's one of my favourite colours, and I've really been wanting to use this new countertop in this green swatch for a while. And since it was a very green house already, I felt like why not? And then the green just didn't stop. So it feels a bit like a color-drenched house, but if you've watched some of my videos before, you might have noticed that that's a bit of a theme with my building. I really struggle to stop doing all the matchy-matchy stuff. I really like it when it matches. So I do try to branch out occasionally, but as you can see, or as you will see, this is a very green room. But I think I balanced it well enough. There's a lot of dark colours to kind of contrast with the really pale sections of the room too. So I hope you agree that you like it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I'm still fairly new at building in The Sims 4, or just in The Sims in general in the grand scheme of things. I actually only got The Sims 4 during lockdown. So what was that, like 2022? Maybe 2021? I forget. I feel like lockdown was just a weird void part of everyone's lives, so I can't actually remember it very well. Or remember when it was. But anyhow, I'm just adding the dining table into here. And originally I was going to use these really bright, kind of airy coloured chairs that I've used in the sort of pottery area with the flowers on. I think they're so pretty, but it was kind of around here where I thought, okay, that's a lot of this kind of pale sage green. Let's mix it up a bit. So I ended up grabbing this rug from the Life and Death expansion pack, which had much darker tones in it and brought in a bit of yellow. So I really enjoyed that, and that inspired the colour for the sofas, which I picked this kind of leathery worn brown swatch with the black wood on it. I really love as well how the swatches on these sofas, they've given us a version with a blanket and a version without. So just because of that, I was so determined to make sure that I used 2 of these sofas while I was decorating this, and I did achieve that. So I was very happy about that. And then in the little TV nook, I just added in another armchair and then used these little, they're actually kitchen cabinets from Dream Home Decorator, but I just lined them across the bottom of the TV in order to make it look like a TV unit. The TV that I picked is one that's locked behind, I think it's some kind of a career unlock from the base game, but it's huge. I didn't size it up or anything. I don't have any mods in my game as of recording this speed build because of the update, and some of them just weren't working. There was a lot of weird UI glitches with Better Build By, and then I just ended up taking all of my mods out, which I suffered with because my favourite mod, the no curtain snapping mod, I missed that so much. I really had a lot of issues trying to get the curtains on because they kept trying to snap to silly places on the windows. I did cut a lot of that out because it was frustrating me, so I figured you didn't want to watch it either. But anyway, I'm just adding a little bookshelf from Eco Lifestyle, actually. It's the one that you can fabricate, so if you use that fabrication skill, your Sims can actually craft that. And it's a really nice piece. It's kind of a shame that it's hidden behind debug. I suppose now all of these really nice pottery pieces are hidden behind debug as well. I have no idea about the tattooing either. I assume there's a lot of debug stuff to do with like different pieces of artwork and things that your Sims can create, which is sort of locked behind the tattoo skill. So I'll definitely have to delve into that at some point. Collections in The Sims are just one of my favorite things. I love my Sims being able to go around the world and get things that are personally like handmade or difficult to come by, and just complete collections in that way. I find it really fun, so I am excited to try tattooing. I should also, before I upload this video, so hopefully it will be live, we'll see if I remembered, but I'm planning to put a little poll up just to see what your thoughts are on the next video in the series. I had a few in mind and a few suggestions as well. One of them that I thought about would be fun is doing kind of like a frog breeding house for a Sim. So a Sim who breeds frogs and sells them as a way to make money as part of this kind of like career inspired series builds. So be sure to check out my YouTube channel and vote on which idea you like the sound of most, and I will definitely get around to doing that for the next video from this series. The possibilities are absolutely endless, so if there's something I didn't put on that poll that you'd be interested to see, be sure to let me know. As I mentioned earlier, you can just grab my socials from the description down below. And if you are still here watching this video, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help the channel out. And subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. I always upload weekly every Sunday at 5 PM Greenwich Mean Time, and I also upload shorts every Monday at that same time. I've also just become so inspired with this new pack. I feel like I say that every time there's a new pack that comes out because it's great to get new stuff to be able to play around with and just new ideas and a new architectural style often. But this pack has basically made me want to rebuild anything I've ever built before. So in my own personal gameplay, and before I even started uploading videos to YouTube, I made kind of a magic shop for Morgan Ember because I really like that sim, and I wanted them to have some kind of a tie to being the Sage of Untamed Magic, despite the fact that they lose that role when you play with them, like any sim with a role. As soon as you start creating them or playing with them so that they're in your active household, they no longer have that role, and then some random sim will fill it. That always made me kind of sad because I just feel like Morgan being the Sage of Untamed Magic is really key to their personality and just everything about them. So I made them a shop where I could buy all kinds of potion ingredients, and it kind of felt suitable in that sense, like a nice tie to the job that they used to have. But now I feel like I need to rebuild that and create kind of a potion making class. So I'm really keen to do that at some point. And then there's various gyms and things that I've built in the past, and now I just want to redo all of them. So I don't know where I'll start or where I'll get to, but hopefully with your input as well and what you'd like to see on the channel, I'll be able to get through a few of the builds at least. I'm also terrible. I know that some people have requested certain things too, like a renovation of Vlad's mansion, but I can't face that just yet. I'm sorry. I do think about it often. It is on my list. I promise I'll get to it, but I don't want to be stressed by it. I feel like the build will come out better if I'm not stressed. So you might just have to wait a little bit longer for that one, I'm afraid. But we are now building the bedroom, or decorating the bedroom. And again, I went very hard for this green color scheme. And I really liked what I ended up doing with the headboard. I used these slats from Eco Lifestyle. They're also in a couple of other packs, including Get Famous. And I just felt like that contrasted really well with this dark green wooden wallpaper that comes in the new pack. And then the little fairy lights. We've got so many fun fairy lights in this game, or in this pack, and those ones just fit really nicely between those wooden slats, and it just seemed like such a fun feature wall. So I really enjoyed doing that. I was also super eager to use this little single tile desk. I've been wanting a more simplified single tile desk that just has wooden colors for ages. So the fact that we have one now is fantastic. It just looks so much nicer than using one of the single tile dining tables. So that's such a nice addition to have. But I was struggling for ages on where to put it, and I really wanted to use this big, it kind of looks a bit like a Japanese maple tree or something, but in green. I really wanted to make sure to use that plant as well. I love the new plants in this game, or in this pack. I keep saying game. It's so pretty, so I really wanted to make sure that I fit it in somewhere. But now, with the final few touches outside in the back garden, we are coming to the end of the speed build portion of the video. So if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. As I mentioned, I'm planning to put up a poll very soon, so as of this video going live, it should already be on my channel, so be sure to head over there and vote on what build you'd like to see next for this series. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy the screenshots, and I really hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye for now!